The Apostle Paul tells us that the gospel is the power of God unto salvation. That is both an explicit statement as well as one that excludes other things. For if the gospel is the power of God unto salvation, then nothing else is. Hello, I'm Jerry Johnson, and I welcome you to this edition of Against the World.
This episode of Against the World is brought to you by Edge Webware. Whether you need a new website, mobile apps, e-commerce solutions, or an engaging interactive experience, Edge Webware has the expertise and knowledge to bring your ideas to life. Contact them today by calling 937-271-4907 or visit them online at edgewebware.com. This episode of Against the World is also brought to you by the Puritan Hard Drive. Dr. Joel Beeke recommends it and notes, the Puritan Hard Drive is a massive collection of primary Puritan resources, dozens of which are very hard to find anywhere else in the world. You will find a treasure trove of resources here. For more information, visit them at puritandownloads.com.
There are many things vying in the hearts and minds of the American people and people worldwide about how a person is saved. The aforementioned passage from the Apostle Paul, that it is the gospel that is the power of God unto salvation, is pretty explicit. No more or less explicit than Jesus himself in John 14 when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes unto the Father but through me. For you see, Christ is the cornerstone of the gospel. He is the pinnacle. Him hanging on the cross, dying for the sins of his people, and having secured for them full atonement for all of their sins, past, present, and future. So what are some of the more popular things that are vying for the hearts and minds of people today? Things that are attempting to insert themselves into the gospel of grace? Well, of course, there are all types of works out there, but probably the one that has historically come up over and over again is baptism. Now, the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 actually addressed the issue of baptism and how it relates to the gospel. For Paul said, when he was questioned about baptizing, was he baptizing people into his name? He made it clear that he was not. In fact, he gave a very short list of those who he had baptized. He did not want to emphasize baptism. In fact, he is explicit that what he wanted to do was emphasize the gospel. And he even ends his comments on that line of thought with these words, for I came not to baptize, but to preach the gospel. For those who believe that baptism is salvific, they would have to then deny that the gospel is salvific because Paul separates the gospel and baptism. There is salvation without baptism, but there is no salvation without the gospel. That's the point he's trying to get to. So no matter what type of works you add to the gospel of grace, be it baptism, be it the Lord's Supper, be it anything, going door to door, giving tithes and offerings, all of these things are works that you do that detract from the real good news of Jesus Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. The gospel is a gospel of grace from start to finish. I have no grounds to boast. In fact, I don't even deserve to be saved, but God saved me because he took mercy and pity upon me. Baptism is not the gospel, the Apostle Paul tells us, nor is anything else save Christ alone. Until next week, this is Jerry Johnson standing contra mundum against the world.